Hey, folks, it's Wednesday. Let's get into it. Here in the mothership, which is Studio 22, the Chad Prather Show, the Puppet Master Mark, Super Chris Cruz. Let's love Brandon at the helm, driving us into the nether regions of all things insanity. I want to talk to you a little bit about Texas insanity right now. And I know everybody that is not in Texas, you tend to look from the outside and you look at it and you say, oh, well, Texas is just like what's going on in Florida. It's a bastion of freedom and liberty. It's a place of conservatism. It's red. Well, you don't have anything to worry about Texas. And a lot of folks are moving here from California, New York, even Europe. They're coming here. And yeah, if you're on the inside, though, you may see it a little bit differently. Last night, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, Chris, but Lady Gaga was in town. And Lady Gaga did a concert, which later on in another segment, I want to talk to you about the hypocrisy of Lady Gaga from what I've gathered from this concert. But in it, she did a little video, or somebody posted a video of her saying, you know, Texas has a purple heart, very purple heart, and I'm hoping that heart's going to become blue in a couple of months. Of course, the crowd goes wild. That concerns me, and Lady Gaga can stay out of Texas as far as I'm concerned. But we are on the cusp of seeing something very dangerous happen in a place that is considered a conservative bastion, and we're in a tough spot here in Texas. And I point that out because if it can happen in Texas, it can happen anywhere. And the fact that it's already happening in a big way in other places, other states, is troubling, and we've got to hold Texas, because I do believe that Texas determines a lot about the way the rest of the country goes. So in the hot seat, I got a friend that he epitomizes not only Texas, but he epitomizes the speak softly and carry a big stick mindset, which I love and appreciate. And I don't like the word activist, but he is an activist. He has been involved in numerous campaigns. I actually worked on Don Huffines' gubernatorial campaign. So we cross paths a lot, but not only in that way, we're friends. So welcome to the show, KD Sims. KD, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Prather.
You are involved in so many of these things. You live in Mckinney. Now, I know that a lot of people would say, well, Mckinney, Texas, for those of you who don't know, that's north of Dallas. With traffic, you can get from downtown to Dallas to McKinney, which is what, 20 miles maybe? You can get there in about 6 hours with traffic, right? If you hit it at the wrong time. But McKinney is a microcosm of what's happening around the nation, right?
It is.
You've been involved with the city. You've been involved with the schools. What's happening in McKinney, Texas?
Well, like you said with your opening, McKinney's going blue.
Yeah.
We've got a blue council. We've got a blue school board. The tyranny just gets worse every meeting, every month. Last night, they decided if we got more than 10 speakers, they're going to cut us down to 1 minute speaking.
This was at the city council meeting.
School board meeting. School board meeting. So they've already censored the only conservative on the board. He has basically no say-so in anything right now. And they're doing this because they want to take over McKinney. And we spend every day of the week trying to wake people up and make them understand this is in our back door.
Yeah.
This is in rural Texas.
And when you say take over McKinney, you talk about the school board. What is it they're wanting to carry out? What's their agenda? What are you fighting against?
We're fighting against mainly right now the pornography in our schools, the wokeism, the CRT, the SEL. We've labeled 282 books in that district by various people, and the board just ignores what's going on. They're not like a Colleyville. Colleyville put a stop to this last night. But McKinney the people in McKinney, everybody coming in from all over the country, and it's unfortunately turning our town blue.
Mm. And people would look at that and they would think there's no possible way that's going to happen. But when we were over in a little town just east of McKinney, we did a campaign stop. You were there. This was a year or so ago. I guess this was a summer ago, a fall ago. I don't know, but it all blurs together. And we were talking to the mayor who came from that little town over there. And he was telling me, he said, we have people moving in here from California. And I said, well, that's true all over Texas. Mm-hmm. He goes, but they're coming in specifically to run for the school boards. Mm-hmm. And they're coming into these little towns of Texas. They're running for school board because they have an agenda that they're wanting to push. And they're doing it not just in the big cities like Dallas or San Antonio or
Right.
Houston. They're doing it in small town Texas. That's trickling over, so it's obviously happening. And McKinney's not a small place,
No.
by any stretch. It's a good population center.
Well, I think you may be talking about Princeton.
Princeton, yeah.
So Princeton, Farmersville, Allen, Salina, Prosper, Gunner. It's happening in the small communities,
Yeah.
and it's spreading all over. People think it's just Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, but that's not true at all. It's moving into the communities of 500 people. And you're right, they're moving in here to specifically take over our state.
What are you doing? I know you go into the meetings, but what? And again, it's entertaining. If you're not following KD Sims on social media, on Facebook, it's entertaining just to watch the headbutting that goes on. You don't really give a damn about anybody's opinion.
I don't.
As far as what they think of you. You got a pretty tough hide, and you and I are kind of the same in that we don't have a lot of filter, and we just kind of say what we think and let the chips fall where they are. But what all are you doing to try to bring some change in this?
Well, I go down to Austin when I can to try to testify. I meet with legislators all the time. I go to meetings, I go to events, I stay on social media nonstop.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of research. A lot of people are not educated, or they don't do the research on what's really happening in Texas. And if you don't do the research, you're not going to know the depths of the issue that we have at hand. And it's very serious. Like you said, people are here to break down our democracy. I just got back from Eagle Pass a couple of weeks ago. I went down there to testify at a Senate hearing down there with 3 senators and stayed a couple of nights on the river just so I could document for people what's happening, because, Facebook's got us all censored.
Yeah.
Social media does, but I find that the live videos are doing a little bit better. They're getting a little bit further reach. But, man, I try to walk the walk. I am somewhere 7 days a week, whether it be a rally, an event, a meeting with legislators, whatever I can do. We've got 6 grandkids. That's why I fight. I tell everybody I've had a good life. Good Lord takes me home tomorrow. I've had a good life.
Yeah.
But those kids need somebody to speak for them.
Yeah.
And that's why I do that.
Well, I can attest to the fact you are somewhere all the time. I don't, people tell me that I travel all the time, but you're on the go. And, and it's not a one issue thing. I mean, whether you're dealing with the school board in Mckinney or you're down at Eagle Pass looking at what's happening with the security or the non-security of the border, you got involved. You traveled around with a campaign. You worked with other campaigns. You've headed up security for different things. There's so many things that you're involved in, but yet you're focused on home. And I always say that the light that shines the farthest away shines the brightest at home. And for you, it's that way. You're out, but you're focused right back in there. I'm looking at this, and I look at a place and I go, there's no way they're really pushing this gender stuff or pornography in books. There's no way they're really trying to, have these conversations with kids in our schools. And it's mind-blowing what's happening here in the state of Texas.
Well, it is. And, I'll just say it. We've got a bunch of Christian hypocrites out there that even some of the McKinney ISD board works at a church in McKinney. Mm-hmm. But yet when you tell them about what's going on in their own schools, they don't want to hear it.
So, I mean, they're just shutting you down, or are they justifying it, or how are they responding to that?
No, they're shutting us down. Just like last night, there was a lady that's running for school board possibly, and she had a level 3 grievance against her First Amendment rights. They listened to her. They gave her 15 minutes, and they shut her down with their attorneys and said, "No, we deny your claim," and that's the end of the discussion. They don't want to, like Grapevine, Colleyville, and some other superintendents around the state. They have actually taken the time to look at these books and read these books and listen to the parents. They're not doing that in McKinney. They're not doing it in Frisco. Jerry Patterson, Representative Patterson's fighting this in Frisco, and the district basically called him out and told him he was full of crap.
Yeah.
So, we've got people that are not listening, and our biggest problem is we don't have enough people involved to make a difference.
Yeah.
And, it's okay to be online and do what you do online, but if you're not in the trenches on a daily basis, you really don't get the full scope of how bad this really is. And until we get more people involved, I tell people every day, this state is turning blue. Mm-hmm. It's deep purple in McKinney right now. Mm-hmm. And if people don't get involved, they're going to get a wake-up call about how red Texas really used to be.
Well, I hear people all the time who say, well, if you look at it, I think that we're really conservative at heart. But, and you said something before we started taping, you know, if we wind up with Robert Francis O'Rourke as the governor of the state of Texas, it's our own fault.
Absolutely.
It's our own fault. So people look at it, and you may be conservative at heart, but you got to be conservative out there where it matters, too,
Absolutely.
in the middle of the fight. What, in your opinion, how do people get involved? And because, again, I want to explain to everybody, because people watch this thing all over the world, but they watch it all over the country, especially Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is large. I mean, it, you know, represents whatever, 10 million people in the area. You've got these little pockets, these little towns all around it. You know, Mckinney is one of them. Grapevine, they just decided yesterday that they weren't going to do the woke nonsense. They knocked down the whole pronoun thing, weren't going to engage in all of that stuff. McKinney, you're in the struggle there. Some of these little areas, again, you may be conservative at heart, but how do people get involved to make sure that fight happens in reality?
Well, I tell people every day, you have to start, the first thing you got to do is you got to know who your local reps are. I talk to people every day that don't know who's on their city council or school board. They don't know their sheriff or the constables. They don't know their state reps or their senator. That's the first place I would start, because if you don't know what they're doing in Austin or even D.C., you don't have a clue what's going on. So I tell people the first thing you do is you meet your legislators, meet your local officials, then you get involved in going to the meetings, going to the events, going to any kind of seminar you can go to, whether it be the Constitution, Bill of Rights, or the city charter. You have to get involved and go to these things, and that's why we're on the move all the time. We go to every single event we can. Sometimes we go to 2 or 3 a day, and that's what it takes. You have to be in the trenches. You cannot solve this being at home. You've got to be out there with the folks. You got to be talking to strangers. You got to be putting your values down, and don't sugarcoat your values. I don't sugarcoat my values.
No, you don't.
I'm a tough cat, and I don't care who comes after me. But there's one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to waver from my values.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do.
Yeah, and the biggest compliment people can give me is they say, well, Chad hadn't changed.
You haven't.
I mean, he's been the same throughout, you know, and I didn't put on any kind of facade when I was running either. I've been the same person all along, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. And I can say that about you as well. I mean, you've been steadfast in the whole thing. If you look at this, and maybe somebody's watching this show, and they're in your area or they're in someplace else, and you want to, just like there's something I need to just say and get out there and just light a little fire under somebody's ass. What is that?
Well, you know, I always bring my grandkids up, but that's really important. If people really stop and think about what their kids and grandkids are being subjected to, how much are your kids worth? Is it worth a Friday night dinner instead of going to a meeting? Is it worth an hour phone call to somebody you might change their life and get them turned around? I mean, people have to put their life in perspective and really think about what they're doing to their families. Yeah. Because, you know, we're in a dire situation here that I really hope our kids don't grow up in a socialist Texas, but I'm afraid that's where we're headed if more people don't wake up. And I tell people all the time, if you can't get involved because of your job, hey, I get it. I'm retired. I can do what I want to do. But if you can't put that stuff out there and it's a good fact, send it to me. I'll look at it, I'll research it, and I'll put it out there. Yeah. I really don't care.
And you do.
I do.
And the good thing about you, KD, is you're responsive. Somebody, you know, you're to the point. You don't belabor it. You don't mince words, and you don't waste words. I like that. You know, you get to the point, you get after it, but you're responsive, and you talk to people.
I do, and you know, I tell people that I try to walk the walk that I'm preaching.
Yeah.
I really do. And you just have to be bold. You have to be courageous. I do hashtag courage all the time. I couldn't do this if I didn't have a good foundation. I've got a bride that keeps me focused, and I've got other people behind the scenes that keep me focused. Yeah. But once you get that support system, you know, I'm being asked right now to come speak all over the state. That's on my own dime, and that's good because I don't want anything from anybody. I just want you to wake up and listen. Yeah, that's all I want.
Well, and we've talked about it. It's almost like a spiritual calling. It is. All of this stuff. You got people who are missionaries who go out and they preach a message. Then that's what this is.
Well, I'm really considering running for a state position. Yeah. Because, you know, I feel like I am being called to do something. Yeah. And until I do that and satisfy my own heart then how do I know what I need to do for other people?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at right now.
I hope you do it. I hope you do it. So, KD Sims, pray for Texas, pray for your own community. But if the fight can happen here, it's happening there. Wherever you are, Main Street America, it's happening. So, and check him out, Facebook, get on there, follow him, KD Sims, and join the fight. If you ain't got no balls, you can enjoy his. Hey, folks, millions of Americans are waking up to a country they don't recognize. That's what we're talking about. And while folks struggle to raise their families and pay the bills, the media and the corporations are telling them that they're what's wrong with the country. Well, thankfully, there's some companies that still believe in America and our Constitution. Our friends over at Patriot Mobile, they're America's only Christian conservative cell phone company. They're on the front lines fighting for the sanctity of life, religious freedom, and the Second Amendment. It's why Patriot Mobile is different from every other provider out there. Inflation's made it hard on many Americans, but thankfully Patriot Mobile has plans to fit almost any budget, and they offer the same nationwide coverage as the major carriers. So get the same great service plus the knowledge that your money is supporting the values that made America great and will again. So I want you to go to patriotmobile.com/Chad, or you can call them 972-PATRIOT and get use the offer code CHAD, I spell it Chad, and get free activation. Special discounts are available for you veterans and first responders. Join the movement. Make the switch today. patriotmobile.com/Chad, or you can call them at 972-PATRIOT. We'll be right back. Yeah, I'll tell you, KD Sims is a good dude. He's a quality person and a good man, and he is in the fight. That's 100% accurate. He is in the fight, and love him or hate him, you got to admire him for what he's doing. I happen to love the guy and appreciate him so much. So I got to tell you guys, maybe we're starting a trend here on this deal, on this Venmo thing, Chris, because more money, $25. Yeah. And from Jacob Hernandez, and God bless you, Jake.
So I feel like now just people are sending you money in order to get a shout out from the show.
And I'll give it to them.
I have no problem with that.
Hey, you know what? Some people pay me to do a cameo.
Okay.
Like on that Cameo app,
yeah.
or the shout out, like Steven Crowder's dad.
Yeah.
You know, they started shout out.
Shout out. Yeah.
Shout out. I'm on shout out, so you could go like to the shout out app.
And pay
and
you money.
But it's instead of going to Cameo, you're paying conservative voices. And if you don't know what Cameo is, that's where you pay somebody and they give you a personalized video. And like, you send a deal, it's a happy birthday, happy anniversary, or retirement from the military, or can be anything going on, or just, some kind of a fun thing. But they'll send you a personalized video and you pay them for it. And a lot of celebrities do Cameo.
A lot of B, C, and D, and E.
Yeah,
and
100%.
F, and a couple of people that are in the background.
Yeah.
They love Cameo.
They'll do Cameo.
Yeah.
And they might charge XYZ dollars,
$200, bro.
Dude, some of it's pretty expensive.
X, Y, and Z dollars. It's $200 to like $1,000.
It's a lot. It can be a lot. Now, I mean, I was doing them for like, I don't know, at one point in time I was doing Cameo for like $40-$50.
That's not bad.
Not bad. And then I when I went back to my Cameo now is like $100 because I'm actually trying to dissuade people from asking me.
Oh, so they could go to shout out?
Yes, go to shout out. Go over to shout
That's
out,
fair.
and if you want to do it. But yeah, that's Steven Crowder's dad. He called me up. He's like, "We're doing this thing. It's cool." So there's a lot of people on there. But basically, you just keep sending me Venmo money at Chad Prather 22. And like Jake Hernandez, and he's a Texas realtor. He sent me a deal that said his note said "fuel while sending truth."
Oh, I like that.
I like that.
That's a T-shirt.
Sitting in the truck, so he said "fuel while sending truth."
By the way, Chad,
said $25. Thanks, Jake.
I want to point something out, and sorry if I put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Are you getting more money now than you were when you were getting a run for the governor?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just want to make sure.
No, our donations were reasonably good when we were running for governor. But no, it's always, look, I don't need people to send me money. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. We really do. But we'll make sure it goes to good things. Like my kids' tuition. I want to get into this loan forgiveness thing that we're talking about with the colleges. I want to talk about what Ron DeSantis is doing with the education there in Florida with the Miami-Dade County school board. Talk about that in a minute. But I alluded to this Lady Gaga concert last night. And so Lady Gaga comes in there. She says, Texas is a state with a purple heart that I hope soon goes blue. Crowd goes wild. I have friends who said they walked out after that. And I'm like, why? I mean, you know Lady Gaga's not sharing your conservative values. Now, it's disappointing when they get in there and they, like I'm a political comedian. You know what you're getting when you come to my show. I'm going to talk to you about some politics. But if you go to a show and you just expect a person to sing the songs, but that's not the world we live in anymore. Their politics are going to come out because this has become a religious fervor in our world today. Now, so you knew what you were getting into. She just happened to say it out loud, and you got offended. That's the same thing I say on the other side. If you go to a comedy show, laugh, loosen up, don't get offended, don't take it personally. Lady Gaga got on her bus, got on her private jet, and left last night, and you don't have to worry about her anymore. Yeah, she burned up the ozone and left a carbon footprint behind her, and probably some chemtrails too. But you don't have to worry about that. And the next time you just don't have to go to her show. But here's the thing. So one of our makeup girls here at the Blaze, she went to the show last night. Yeah, she was tired. She's tired. Well, so no, I got to tell you the story on this. I got to tell you, and that's what I want to make the point on this. Because at what time it started is the key to what I'm about to say. So she went, and she's tired, she probably drew my beard on crooked. I mean, she's like half asleep in there. And I talked to several people who said that they advertised the show time as 7 o'clock. Well, you know that Gaga is not coming on stage at 7 o'clock. No concert starts at 7 o'clock. But she said they advertised at 7 o'clock, and they said she finally came on stage at 10. So they waited 3 hours. Now, that's a long time to wait. And what these artists are doing, let me tell you the trick here. This is the trick. I asked Elizabeth, I said, was there an opening act? She said, no opening act. So they waited 3 hours with no entertainment, just waited. People have brought their kids, they're teenagers. Folks are getting restless, the whole thing. 3 hours, no opening act, just waiting. All right, so what they do, and I imagine Lady Gaga probably, I'm assuming she got a cut of the concessions. She probably got a percentage of the alcohol sales, and merchandise, of course, is hers. So they go in there. Typically, when you go into a big venue, you negotiate a deal where when you sell merchandise, there is an 80-20 split or a 75-25 split. So if I sell T-shirts at a big venue, the venue will get 20% of what I sell. All right. So she goes in. People have 3 hours to wait. So what are they going to do? They're going to drink. They're going to eat. They're going to buy the T-shirts. They've got 3 hours with nothing else to do but be irritated and go spend some money. So that's what they do. That's the show business trick, okay? Now, that is a free market capitalist system that she employed last night and then got on stage after collecting probably a couple of $1 million for doing one show, and then many, many more in terms of what she collected by selling merchandise and the rev share from the concession stands. So she walked out of there probably making $3-4 million last night. And good for her. But then she got on stage and espoused a liberal agenda of talking about going blue and purple. Well, let me tell you something. If true progressive democratic socialism were to be instituted in the state of Texas, well, guess what, Lady Gaga? That you did last night, you employed a conservative principle to make money and a conservative strategy of engaging a free market economy to put a couple of $1 million in your pocket and then to go blaze your carbon footprint across the sky and the roads of America between your buses, your semis, and your private jet. And yet you say you hope that the state of Texas goes blue. See, I'm just pointing out just a microcosm of the hypocrisy that these jackasses do to try to make you get the cheap applause. Yeah, we want to go blue. And every pinhead Riri out there with their hair colored purple and their nose rings that were clapping for her bullshit on stage did not take the time to realize that she's engaged in real capitalism, real free market economy, and real conservative values just in the way she ran her freaking show. So again, it's do as I say, not as I do. And you guys just clapped and applauded while she played a $50,000 piano on stage. I just want you to stop and think about the hypocrisy of all this stuff, right? Just think about it. Oh, and by the way, you guys out there, y'all probably paid, $75 and up for the tickets. I mean, the cheap seats were probably, I'm guessing, $55, $75 in that deal. And man, the carbon footprint, where did she play? Was that American Airlines? Do we even know where it was? Probably American Airlines Center in downtown Dallas. If I had to guess, I don't know. But the carbon footprint around that spot right there, I mean, just not only to turn the lights on, but how many vehicles had to pull into that place and park and stay. So I just want you to start thinking about this stuff. Tell these people, when they want to preach to you. See, like my buddy KD, who was here a minute ago, he could tell you the stuff he says is the stuff he lives. But you got these celebrities out there and all these, again, politicians and the Riris, they don't live that way. They preach something, but they don't live that way. It's a fact. So Ron DeSantis at the Globe, that's a shock. I didn't know that. Okay. So not American Airlines Center, but nonetheless, same thing. Point still stands. So Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he backed some candidates and to flip Miami-Dade School Board and 4 others to Republican control. So he successfully did it. I mean, that's Miami-Dade. That's huge. I mean, to me, that's on level of, now granted, Mayra Flores and what she did in South Texas. I mean, she's the first ever Mexican-born congressperson, which is incredibly historic. But not only that, what she was able to do in her district. But this is huge. Both our candidates in Miami-Dade County, Florida, just won their elections, flipping the school board conservative. Miami-Dade is now the largest county in America with a conservative school board majority in the country. A 1776 pack. As the next school board member for District 8, this is Monica Colucci. She said, I will keep woke ideologies out of the classroom, ensure curriculum transparency, and defend parental rights. So, folks, be encouraged. Be encouraged. I mean, my God, if it can happen in Miami-Dade, it can happen anywhere. Any freaking where. That's encouraging, man. I'll tell you, I see more and more of my friends, my conservative influencer friends, they're moving to Florida. I see them, and I'm like, I look at them, they got their moving trucks, and they're posting it on Twitter and Instagram. And they're like, oh, we're leaving California. And it says, and I said, oh, they're coming to Texas. Nope. Going to drive an extra 12 hours on to Florida. They're doing it, man. They're doing it. You tell me that a good conservative person in a place of leadership can't make a difference. Ron DeSantis is doing it, and we'll see what happens to Florida, and we'll see what happens. Going to be interesting. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Get into it. Y'all hang tight. All right. So, as you know, America is kind of going down the toilet in other ways. Happy for Miami-Dade. Happy for the people out there doing the fight. Happy for what's happening in Florida. But there's a lot of places out there, because of the Biden administration, it is really tanking thanks to this very leftist agenda. And NBC took a poll, and I want you to take a look at this.
We are less than 3 months before the midterms, and our brand new NBC News poll paints a pretty bleak picture. Americans are angry, they're disappointed, and they are worried about the future of this country. Just 21% of adults say we are heading in the right direction, and once again, 3 out of 4 Americans say we are on the wrong track. In fact, this number, never before in our poll, has this wrong track number been over 70% for this long? It's been nearly a year now. 58%, by the way, say America's best years are behind us. That's an all-time high.
That's troubling. Now, again, I don't put a lot of stock in polls, but damn. I mean, the fact that it's been that consistent for over a year, over 70%, yeah, I think people are chomping at the bits to make a change. I think they are chomping at the bits to make a change, especially when you have Democrats, particularly this Biden administration, who's trying to buy off your vote. They're trying. This is, I mean, to me, this is voter fraud. This whole student loan forgiveness stuff. So they've released the details now of Joe Biden's plan to cancel $10,000 in student loans per borrower that's earning under $125,000, as well as $20,000 per borrower who paid for college using the Pell Grants. You can see the graph that's right there. Now he tweeted that. That's the Biden administration. According to supposedly Joe Biden, I don't know who runs Joe Biden's Twitter, but my God, he can barely hand a pen to Joe Manchin after signing a document. I don't think he's not tweeting. Zoom in on Joe's face during that's the episode where he coughs in his hand and shakes everybody's hand in the room. Zoom in on his face when he's looking around confused, trying to find somebody to hand that pen to. Yeah. So they've been wanting to do this. They've been talking about doing this. Most Democrats say it's not enough. They wanted to support canceling up to $50,000 per borrower. But they're going to go ahead and try to push this through. It's not constitutional, folks. It's not. I mean, imagine I'm going to go borrow money to pay for something I can't afford. Now, we all do that at some point in our life. Buying a car, you're going to, I mean, and again, I don't use credit cards. I haven't used a credit card since 2007. Again, I keep a $1,000 limit credit card, so I keep a rotating thing of like, I'll put $100 on it and pay $50 every month just to keep the credit up, right? It's because you gotta have to have that. So, and it's stupid that you gotta have that, but to have a healthy credit score, I keep a small amount on there at all times. But I don't use a credit card for daily stuff. I don't use a credit card for business. We are cash only. Everything we do, again, Venmo is Chad Prather 22. Every little bit helps. I don't believe in going in debt. So, my vehicle is paid for. I bought it with cash. And, I don't, my places that I own them, right? But occasionally, you have to borrow money for something. Maybe it's a mortgage, maybe it's an automobile, whatever. You do what you got to do. Now, that being said, imagine borrowing money to pay for something you can't afford. But then you did it for something that you probably didn't even need, and there's a good chance you'll never even use. So that's like, you buy this house in Montana that you never go to, and it just sits there and gets dilapidated. Most people out there are not using their college degree. They're not using it. You're not. I'm not using mine. I'm not using mine. I don't do my jobs. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't do anything that I do and I don't have a resume. I don't do any of that stuff. So I don't use that. Who's not asking for the student loan forgiveness is people who went to technical school and got a damn job. Those people, they got their job. They went out there and paid for what they did. They learned a trade, and they're out there doing it. But these folks, let's say you go to Harvard, Yale, you go to Princeton, you go to an Ivy League school, you go out there. Now, those people, they did some big time debt on there, and and they said, well, it's just $10,000. Just $10,000. Well, if it's people who make under $125,000, that's the majority of Americans. The majority of people don't make over $125,000 a year. And if you have a college degree, I'm going to tell you a personal story. So my daughter, one of my daughters, she went to college and she majored in dance. Exactly, laugh. No, laugh. If that's the reaction I want. She majored in dance. And I told her when she started, I said, that's not a major. There's only a couple of universities, literally a couple of universities in America that will allow you to go to school and major in dance. And I said, that's not a degree. That's not a deal. She said, well, you're in the entertainment business. I said, yeah, but I didn't start there. I had other things that I did as a career, and I fell into this, and I was fortunate enough and had enough business mind to turn it into something. Because trust me, there's people out there who have actual talent. I don't, but I'm a good businessman, and I know how to translate my mediocrity into success. That makes sense. Yes, it does. So here's the thing. She said, well, you're in entertainment business. I said, yeah, but I didn't start there. I've got a couple of degrees. I used them for a while. I'm not using them now, but I am using at least the education I gained. She said, okay, right there. She said, if I don't go do this to dance, she said, if I'm not dancing, she goes, then I'm not going to go to college because I can go out there and work in a studio. I can do all that stuff. I can teach people to dance. I can make a living doing that. She said, but they're paying me to go to college, so I'm going to take them up on it, but I'm going to major in dance. And I said, okay, well, when she gets there, surely somebody will talk some sense into her since she's not listening to Dad right now. And I said, I'm going to shelve this because once she gets there, at the time she was 18, I said, once she gets there, I said, gets a little bit under her belt, she'll see there's some other things she needs to do and focus on. Nope, she graduated with a 4-year degree in dance, all right? No one there in that program at any time said, you might want to take a business class. You might want to take a marketing class. Now, she told me 6 months before she graduated, she said, I know what you're thinking. She said, but again, had I not majored in dance, had I not come here to dance, she goes, I just wouldn't have gone to college. Now, I'm painting a bleak picture here, but she did take some other classes. She got a great experience. She got great education in terms of other classes she took. Smart girl. And let me tell you, impressive girl, because she knew she had to do something with this. So as soon as she graduated, she immediately started using her resources and her network. Didn't use me because I was kind of like hands off on this because I want my kids to stand on their own 2 feet. I want them to make their own decisions, open up their own doors, trust God, and move forward. So I didn't start calling my contacts in the entertainment industry. But trust me, if it got to the point where I had to keep paying her rent, I would have. All right. But she started getting on airplanes. She traveled all over the country. She tried out at different places. We talked about her trying out with the Rockettes in New York. She was all over the place. And recently, again, she graduated back in May. End of May. So just recently, she has an incredible job. She got an offer, and she moved to Florida, by the way. And but she's touring the country with a dance troupe and group with a very high-profile deal. They're paying her great. She got health benefits. And I'm like, hey, you're using the degree. You're at least using your degree. And she's having a time of her life. She's working hard. She's doing all these things. And I'm impressed with what she's doing. But that's rare that somebody graduates with a degree like that and it works out. So at least she had an ethic, a work ethic, to push through and create something and open those doors of opportunity for herself. But my problem is not the person who's going to do that. There's just not too many people who can take underwater basket weaving with a minor in women's studies and gender confusion and say, we're going to do something and build a career out of that, and then expect the government to come bail you out. It's not the way it's going to work. It's just simply not the way it's going to work. So I have a real problem with this, and I'll probably say more about it as we go on. But this whole thing, imagine getting a loan to go get something that you can't afford, but you really probably don't need it. And at the end of the day, you're probably not going to use it, and then expecting a total stranger to pay for it. That, my friends, is socialism. And I'm really tired of the government being our pimp. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, folks. It's that time in the show where I want to attempt to wax eloquent. Folks, you know that old thing about give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It's often rewritten in our modern parlance to be a form of the slippery slope fallacy in discussions. But as I've said before on this show, it's important for us to realize that the whole slippery slope isn't always a fallacy. In fact, increasingly, it seems less and less like one in most conversations going on. Valrico, Florida. Let's go there. Pack the bags of your mind and be sure to include the sunscreen and the flip-flops. We're going to Florida, folks. Grace Christian School. They're coming under fire for their recent announcement that they not only won't be referring to school kids by anything other than their correct gender pronouns, but in fact, that if any of the kids in their school are leading an open and active homosexual lifestyle, they're going to be asked to leave. Now, the same goes for school kids leading an open and active heterosexual lifestyle. So let me be clear on that. I'm guessing that part won't get a lot of the press attention. Now, here's where that whole inch and mile thing comes in. Because some of the people in this country, maybe a majority, they've sort of had it in their mind for the past several decades that if you allow the left's agenda to exist right out in the open, it will not come just barging into the places you create for yourself. I mean, why not allow gay marriage if there's never going to be a time when your church is forced to perform a gay wedding, for example? And if the world worked that way, I'd probably agree with that line of thinking, but unfortunately, it does not, as is evidenced by how much of a ruckus this whole thing is stirring up. So this is a private school, and ostensibly the people who make up its school board, if that's even the system they're using, I don't know, they're pretty much entirely in charge of who gets to attend there and who does not. Absent certain violations of established civil rights law, they have the freedom of association granted by the Constitution to all Americans, and they can allow or disallow certain behaviors as they see fit. You see, the idea behind this is that if you aren't allowed to go to one school in this country, you can go to a different one. So my right to association doesn't abrogate your right to seek an education someplace else. Seems simple, right? But let's be honest. It isn't as if you can exactly swing a dead cat around pretty much anywhere in this country right now without hitting a school district that's plenty woke enough to accept your little blue-haired zero for whatever it thinks it wants to be. Now, this private school is making a stand for what it believes in a time that's really difficult for people whose beliefs run counter to the increasingly different standard. And I, for one, want to salute them for it because, let's be real, they're taking and will be taking a lot of crap going forward. They're going to be mocked. Yes, they are. But it won't surprise me a bit if they're also litigated against to the fullest extent of the law. And they're in Florida, so maybe that won't be as bad as it could be elsewhere. But it isn't going to be a picnic. I mean, that's for sure, folks. The fact that even private schools like this are coming under such fire does nothing but underscore what I've been telling you for years. You ready for it? You ready for it? You know what I'm going to say. Get your kids out of public schools, folks. Get them out of public schools. Hell, make sure the private school you're putting them into is like this one in Florida. Make sure these schools where your kids go stick to their principles. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. I tell you, in light of what KD was saying, and I see this thing up close and personal. I'm watching what's happening in Texas. I watch these school boards. I see what's happening in all the different places, and the fight is real. The fight is real. What was it KD said in the first segment? They identified 282 books in the library that have, what's arguably pornography, and it's directed towards children. Look, I get that in some cases, we split the hairs that don't need to be split, but you and I both know that they're covering a lot of the stuff. I talked earlier in the week about this SEL, social emotional learning, and I've had people reach out to me who say, can you explain to us social emotional learning? Because my wife, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my sister's a teacher. They defend SEL. What is it? I've said it's another form of CRT, that's just packaged in another way. They're just bringing more Marxism into the schools. Listen, SEL is just another way of grading you on social and emotional stuff. It's a child's ESG score in the school, if you will. These corporations and ultimately you will probably be operating in the Great Reset under ESG scores instead of a FICA score. They're going to grade you on how you treat the environment, social justice, governance, all these things. And so, are you meeting your inclusivity factors? Are you saying mean things online? Well, we can't give you this loan because, you have hate speech on Instagram. That kind of nonsense BS, all right? Well, SEL in the schools is in many ways doing the same thing, right? It's couched in something that looks very good. The teachers want somebody to, we want to make sure that our kids are learning, socially and emotionally, because they're not getting it at home. So we want to make sure that they're understanding, and we're not raising a whole bunch of little white supremacists and all these crazy Nazi racists. We want to make sure that these kids are, well-adjusted, emotional kids. But that's not what they're doing. They're turning out little automatons that have been homogenized in their thinking, and rather than critical thought, it's political party speak, and they know all the right words to say. And they graduate with some crayons and chalk for the sidewalk and a stuffed animal and a safety pin and a direct map to a safe space and where all the fecal landmines are so they can step over them as they walk around the homeless in their streets. So that's the kind of stuff that we're dealing with, folks, in our schools. So kudos to this school in Florida for at least saying, nope, we got some values, we got some principles, we were built on this, we were founded on this, and we're going to stick to it. I got to say congratulations to my buddy Jeremy Christopherson. Jeremy worked very hard with my campaign, but he's my friend. We spent time hunting, fishing together, having a good time, drink a lot of beers together. Jeremy Christopherson, today at 10 a.m. in the state of Texas, Houston, became a U.S. citizen. And he's lived here longer than he's lived anywhere, but he is British, but he's now an American. So God bless you, Jeremy. Welcome to America, even though you've been here for quite some time now. And a successful guy and a great patriot. Trust me, not everybody is loyal to the crown, even though they got a funny accent, and I don't always understand what they say. So he took the oath today. The presiding judge was Judge Ho. So I said, I hope you don't have to, pledge your allegiance to America in Korean. But he got it done. So congratulations, Jeremy Christopherson. And I love you, buddy. I really do. I appreciate you. I sent him Neil Diamond's Coming to America. We're coming to America. He actually was the idea behind this shirt that I'm wearing. He sent me this. He's in the oil field. He fracked Joe Biden. He told me the idea for this shirt, and I was like, yep, we got to do it. And you can get yours at prathertees.com. Y'all hang tight. More insanity to come. We'll be right back. We had to retake this segment because I thought we had more time. It is what it is. I got more stuff. I want you to come back tomorrow when we get off the rails. I want to talk more about this student loan forgiveness because I was just waxing on about it and ran out of time. Go to watchchad.com where all the fun stuff is. And check it out. Going to be in Conroe, Texas next week, Southern Star Brewing. And then the week after that, going to be in, where are we going to be? Gosh, we're going to be in Waco, Texas, and Granbury, Texas as well. So check out the schedule over there. Sign up for Blaze TV, blazetv.com/Chad. Use promo code Chad and get a savings on an annual subscription. I'm going to see if I can twist Sarah Gonzalez's arm to be with me tomorrow night. So pray for me because she doesn't like being twisted. I love y'all. God bless you. We'll see you then. Bye.